Alright everybody, welcome back to Mangaka's Master Ninja Mode walkthrough commentary of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. We are up to Chapter 13, the Temple of Sacrifice. This has some of my favorite fights, I think, in the entire game. But there are also a couple of frustrating ones here as well. Starting off, we're just going to be checking in on what our essence looks like. At this point of my Master Ninja Mode playthrough, there's only one weapon that is not upgraded to level 3, and that is so nice. Like, it's just so cool that I can have like an entire upgraded arsenal from a raw new playthrough in this difficulty in this game now by this point. And if you were a little more effective at essence farming in a lot of your fights, you could definitely get all of your weapons upgraded even sooner. And you don't have to worry about upgrading all of them either, right? Like, upgrade what you want to use. I think the dual swords are a pretty good one to upgrade. Lunar Staff, getting that to level 2 is something that you should do like instantly. It should be your very first upgrade in the entire game. And then from there, just kind of pick what you want, or, you know, just take any of the recommendations that I've made throughout this guide. I'm just sort of adding in the note of the dual blades upgrade, as they are a pretty potent weapon, as I'm coming to appreciate more and more. I always knew they were good, but it's like, I don't know. I just never considered some of their strings for boss killers. The Tonfa's kind of flubbed there, so I'm absorbing my yellow essence here. Again, take advantage of these big, slow enemies, right? Like these chainsaw zombie boys. I accidentally run down too far on this path and triggered the next spawning wave of enemies, so that's why we got the ganja. I was somehow able to cheekily get a level 2 ultimate technique off here, killing everybody in sight. So by this point, you should be pretty familiar with how to approach things. One thing I will lament on the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black as well as Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, compared to Ninja Gaiden 2, there just isn't as much variety in how you can approach fights, I feel like. And that's a lot of that has to do with how they've narrowed down Ryu's kit, because in Gaiden 2 you had a lot more projectile weapons, right? The whole projectile system was vastly different, with you having to pick a spot, you were stuck in place, you had to manually aim, you could charge ultimate arrow techniques and use essence like that. There was Incendiary Shuriken that you could use as well in your fights, which gave you another layer of strategy. The Windmill Shuriken, which is a weapon that would be available in the next chapter, if we were in Ninja Gaiden 2. That being excluded, I think, is a crime. Team Ninja, please give us that weapon. Anyways, once you clear through these fights, there's not really much you can do to take advantage of a save point or anything like that. I'm trying to remember. There's 3 chests in this area, and even now in this post-commentary thing, I can't remember the order that they were in. The first one is an Herb of Spiritual Life. I think the one on the right is a Ghostfish chest, what I tell y'all. So if you got a little bit of life, you can try to farm up your blue essence from the Ghostfish, then go back and use these take advantage of the Herb of Life chest to get your yellow essence. But there's a Life of the Gods right there. But also, by this point of the game, it's less important, I think, for us to manipulate the items in chest for their essence value, because unlike in Ninja Gaiden 2, where you could buy, ammunition for your ranged weapons, like the Shuriken I mentioned, or the bow and arrow, there's really not much that you can spend money on in this game. Once you get past the weapon upgrades, it's just all items from here, and I'm having a bit of a go of it with the ganja. And I'm like, okay, I just want to get the level 2 off. One weakness of the swords, I would argue, is that their level 1 ultimate technique, which you're seeing right here, it's nothing to write home about. Doesn't have any guaranteed delim attacks. Nothing is cool like that. I remember that there was a grain coming up on one of the bodies, so I pop one here. I say, screw it, let's go to the 360 staff. There is a Devil's Way mushroom on the bridge up ahead of us, so if you ever want to use a Art of the Windblades Nimbo here to kill all of these enemies, highly encourage you to do so. You can get them delimbed, set up some ultimate technique chaining from the obliteration techniques. I got spooked by that guy, so I just took him out with an ultimate technique 2 with the Tonfas, as you can see. That's it for that fight. Body right here does have a notebook. It's just lore stuff, if you care for that one. It's no Dark Souls lore, I'll tell you that much, or From Software lore, if I want to more or less reference the entirety of Arc System Works. I'm thinking fighting games all of a sudden. That's funny. Anyways, up ahead, we got a fight on the bridge with some of these demons. Some of these fiends, I should say. They're not demons. Yeah, at this point, pick whatever weapon you're comfortable with, right? Like, you could... I think I've messed around with the Kusurai Gama in this fight. And as you can see, there's still no save point for us, so... death at any given moment means we gotta trek all the way back and do all of those fights again, if I remember correctly. So, I highly recommend you just try and get through it however you can. You know, that guy grabs me. Get a Mizuna drop here, so that enemy's dead. I get a Nimpo. Use it for a level 2 ultimate technique. I highly recommend, you know, as you can see, this fight went quite a bit scuffed. If you just charge up like a strong level 2 ultimate technique, Tonfas maybe, dual katanas, 360 staff, you know, any one of those would be fine. Right, like compare how scuffed that first fight went compared to this fight here, where it's like I killed 3 of those fiends, leaving me 1, and I don't even need, you know, he got clipped by some of the damage, I think, from the ultimate, so he just died in a few hits, and we got to absorb a lot of essence. We're going to see a spider ninja now, Rasatsu, whatever you want to call them. They all have, like, different names, at least when they're with health bars. And so we're just going to go back to the tried and the true 360 staff ultimate technique. He has a blind spot to it. A lot of these hits will just connect on him cleanly. You can jump back, create yourself some space. You're not reliant on him being in range, so if this whiffs, it literally can't whiff. And there's a body right next to him is where there is that Devil's Way mushroom I mentioned. I just have some fun here, switching my weapon to get a different obliteration technique on him. Yeah, we got a nice big chunky bit of essence. This is the Devil's Way mushroom. And I was like, I thought this was the grains, and I get a little bit paranoid. So once I trigger this fight, I actually backtrack back. But because I'm aware of the fact I have a Devil's Mushroom and I haven't used an Nimpo yet, I just go, you know what? Forget about him. And that's a very funny outcome of using the Art of the Blade, Wind Blades right there. Like, compare that to, like, Ayane's ultimate or Rachel's or, maybe not Momiji's. Momiji's actually has a good Nimpo. I think it's a better Art of the Inferno because it doesn't require the enemies to scream and die for like 2,000 years. They just die and they're dead. But yeah, I'm paranoid. I'm double checking like the bridge walkway looking for a body that is actually just it was a few more jumps ahead. So because of the bodies that have a grain as well as the Devil's Way mushroom, go ahead, use those items if you need to. You got free items, free replenishments right here for any of these fights. Now that you're aware with this knowledge, just use it wherever you need to. Maybe it's at a consistent time in your playthrough. Maybe it's at a different time. At least I think I scooped it. Either way, once you get to that save statue, take it. I was stuck on this set of fights for way longer than I should have been. It was a bit frustrating, actually. So, walk forward, get the barrier to spawn behind you, and start farming pill bugs with the Eclipse Scythe ultimate technique. The water in front of us is actually like acid water, so it will do a little bit of burn damage, and it can kill you. And yeah, as you can see, there is an acid worm up ahead, so that's why we're back here trying to stay out of his spit range. We are able to kill a few bugs. And I'm like, please let me use this essence to heal lasting damage, but because he's alive, it won't let me. And yeah, so 360 staff, just good old reliable. 2 level 1s kill the worm, and I think a second one spawns here. Indeed, one does, so I get a level 2 off on him. And a full level 2 360 UT kills him with the Lunar Staff. So I highly recommend you just do that. Simplifies the process quite a bit. And I think I've been trying to fish the fights for like 20 minutes, trying to get them perfect. But I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care enough anymore. Again, because the nice thing about being so strict in the earlier levels, pardon the screen tearing, my laptop had some issues with like the frame stutter and whatnot. The nice thing about being strict with our item use in the early levels is that now we're getting to the point of the game where we can let loose and the fights, they're getting as hard as they'll ever be. So this is just a blue chest, blue life chest outright. So I discover that here when I pop a Grains of Life. So don't do that. Don't use an item here. You have a blue essence chest down there. It is blue essence. It will always be blue essence. So use it to stock yourself up. If you missed that Crystal Skull like I did, well, there it is. Wow, man, like the screen tear is so bad on this recording. I apologize for that one. The last 2 chapters of the walkthrough are going to be recorded on my desktop, which is just a much stronger computer than my laptop. I got a little bored / impatient for not working on the guide. Now, anyways, this fight, I fire off a Art of the Piercing Void because I'm like, there's going to be some Nimpo up ahead. I actually absorb one right there, and with the with the Scythe Ultimate Technique, as well as the Nimpo, we are able to kill that worm. One more spawns. You can see a point-blank Scythe UT really doesn't do anything to him, so I switched over to the Staff. Set up my on-landing timing with the arrow shot, just to guarantee that I would have the timing correct. Kill him pretty quickly. And yeah, recommend those. Pop a Nimpo there. You know, if you didn't use one earlier, you could backtrack all the way to the bridge and pick it up there. I'm just double-checking for chests and everything like that. There's nothing here for y'all to worry about at this point. Simply proceed on ahead and jump down a point of no return. And I would definitely just take the save statue here. This fight can be a little troublesome. And I don't want to repeat any of the fights that we just had to go through. So, yeah, it's a point of no return. You can see that pretty clearly. And I think, actually, I die in one of these takes that I left in. But yeah, you're going to be assailed, by some Quetzalcoatls, as well as some flying Bengals. Once you jump down, they spawn. You could fire off a Nimpo at the Quetzalcoatls, like your Art of the Inferno, which should be level 3 by this point. I get hit. I'm forced back. I'm like, well, this is ugly. I'm trying to focus down the more annoying projectile dudes. That was like a health or something like that. I just let this rock. I knocked him down, so he just, fell to his death. And as always, like, the Bengals will be in, like, sit back and chill mode until you get close enough to aggro them, or until you, like, shoot them. Yeah, right here I kind of messed up that fight. So I do get tagged and I do die in this particular playthrough. Just not really using good principles, I think, in that fight. Like, I should have shot a bow and arrow at him to aggro him. Then while he was flying at me in that stupor, I could have charged up that Lunar Staff Ultimate Technique and killed him pretty easily. So that was a bit of a scuff fight, and that's why I want y'all to save right there. Like, don't force that one. Like, at this point, like, these fights are brutal and they will kill you, even with all the extra HP we have. I get lucky by being so far back, my health actually regenerates up to its permanent damage. All right, and we take this guy down. Yeah, now that I see that this guy's aggroed onto me, I'm going to absorb that essence. Had to sneeze, so I muted myself. I wanted to absorb the essence for the money value and then kill him with a, free ultimate technique, basically. And then we proceed downwards. Down we plunge. I'm double-checking the area. Nothing really over here for us to be concerned with. There is a chest. If I remember right, it's just a random item chest. Yeah, it's just yellow essence or maybe ghost fish or bats sometimes, so just pop that chest open. You will see that there are these platforms right here. If you do a jumping heavy attack onto them, you will trigger them, and that will cause items to fall down. I do get stabbed right here by this guy. I'm trying to get something started, messing around with just fighting with the staff until I'm like, okay, how do I want to get out of this situation? And I figured dual swords. I'm able to stun them with the bow and arrow. These fiends do not get stunned by your shuriken, so use your bow and arrow airborne attacks to stagger them. And then over here is a Jewel of the Demon Seal, and this one is actually the one that lets me upgrade the Art of the Phoenix to level 3. So this is the last Jewel of the Demon Seal that you need in the game. And the last one the game gives you, for that matter. So we advance on ahead. Use whatever weapons. At this point, you should be comfortable with like some play styles of yours, some techniques of your own, some weapons of your own. So pick whatever you want to for these fights, right? And at this point as well, you can be a little less stringent on what you use as far as items go, right? If you upgraded all the weapons that you want to upgrade, you don't want to spend upgrades upgrading any weapons that you just don't vibe with, don't do it. Use that money for health or items instead that will keep your run going and allow you to complete the game a little faster or get through some difficult sections easier. Spawn these guys, hear them coming. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I do get the Delim with the charged attack, not a charge ultimate, just a charged heavy. And then this guy is just sitting there like, I can fly, I'm a jackass. But again, once you aggro him with like a shot of your arrow, and you see him start to fly in, you can charge up an ultimate technique. I always recommend the staff against them. You don't have to worry about it missing. Those guys are too strong and nasty of an enemy for you to really mess around with, is what I would say. Anyways, we're able to pursue forward, keeping in mind that we're looking out for those platforms we can drop on. I try to lock on with a bow and arrow, see what's coming my way. But when I realize it's fiends, it's like, okay, I'm going to bust out with the swords. Missing the OT, which, you know, I'm encourage y'all to be wary of just always OTing these fiends. Because even if you cut off their heads, as you see, they will still swing at you. Take this guy down. We do get a little bit of blue life. We are up here at a statue with a save point just around the corner. There is a grains of life on the ground on a body pretty soon. And right here, I upgrade my Dragon Sword to level 3. So it's at this point that I have demonstrated in Master Ninja mode, you can upgrade all of your weapons to max rank. And this chapter 13, we still have like 4 chapters to go. So we have plenty of time to play with our arsenal at its most powerful. Right, so I'll kill this Bengal. And now, basically, if you just maintain the same like absorb essence principles, you know, try to absorb the essence from your opponents that use a level 2 ultimate technique to maximize like the money that you make off of them. Do that, right, to increase your gains as they were. And enemies that you kill with like just a standard attack with a OT or something like that, you know, just use that essence with the guidance technique, right, the on-landing UTs to instantly charge them to then earn yourself higher cash, right? You do that going forward, and you'll be able to afford all the health, all the Nimpo that you need to fight your way through some of these very difficult fights. Get the level 2 sword out here. Just kill them down. Level 2 ultimate technique with the swords, I should specify. Right, and there's going to be this fight here. You know, fade back, charge an ultimate, whatever one's super effective. You know, it's the gameplay that we are all here for. And I'm very curious to see what Ninja Gaiden 4 will have for the gameplay. As well. If they're going to bring Essence back, something that they did not have in Ninja Gaiden 3 or Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. So I'm just very curious to see how that will progress forward, what their main combat system is going to look like. So this body has a grains of spiritual life. I scooped it. Oh, I think yeah. I know what happened here, actually. I thought, like, oh, it's one that I can't pick up, but I did pick it up because I was missing an item. So use the grains of life whenever you need to, and use it before that fight. Use it there. Because once you go down this way, you cannot climb back up. Here, I just equipped the level 3 Dragon Sword, actually. Just to have some fun with it, right? Showing you that, you know, it has a pretty decent ultimate technique. The fact that it can drop at a couple different points and in some more cornered areas, it's pretty hard for it to function, is a little suspect. So here you can see you just can't climb back up this way. At least inside. I had the thought of, actually, can I run on the outside of that building? You might be able to. There might even be something up there. And I am just now having that thought, that realization. It's kind of funny just what happens to the human mind once you're watching footage and you're able to focus on different things and realize, wait a minute, why didn't I check that out? Yeah, I mean, Ryu not even on the same diagonal as that guy, you know what I mean? I got an Impo. I want to use it for an ultimate technique. I was able to catch a few of those guys into it, right? But still, like, it's a decent ultimate, but it's not a great ultimate. Like Dragon Sword, truly the jack of all trades weapon. Here I bust out the Vigorian Flails because I'm like, again, do whatever you want to. The front to back de-limbing action that we just had right there too, that was actually so sick. That is one of the coolest things I think you can do with the Vigorian Flails. And I'm double checking on some attacks and some block strings that we have with the level 3 Dragon Sword. There's a few more moves that are left to be unlocked once the weapon automatically upgrades to level 3. And now we advance forward. There's a little bit of a boss fight right here. Pick up this chest. It's Alive 1,000 Gods. And yeah, once you come on over here, there's a little cutscene that plays. And there's an optional boss fight that you can do right here. There is a Herb of Spiritual Life. And here I'm like, oh, wait, I was missing Nimpa. I was missing an herb. Shoot, okay, I just kind of wasted that one, but it's still funny. So, you have a free herb here to use. A couple of dead bodies on the ground to give you plenty of free item usage and extra health, extra Nimpo. Once you hit this, you get this boss fight, which is basically what the original boss of the Chapter 12 fight was, except there was like 2 of them, and they were surrounded by a bunch of mini quaddles, whatever they're called. I know the name's right here on screen, but as I do the commentary in my software, it's actually a pretty small screen for me to look at. Yeah, I mean, not much to write home about this fight. Dodge the fireballs, and make sure you dodge them. As you can see, they do have an explosive shockwave that can do damage to you. Spam the bow and arrow at him because he moves so fast. The Howling Cannon is not going to hit him too often. Oh wow, it actually captured some of my Steam overlay stuff. That's amusing. That's definitely an OBS setting I can change later. But yeah, as much as I like using the bow and arrow to walk around and be on the move, the fact that there's just not any sort of skill being applied for controlling the cursor myself or for sneaking in a greedy ultimate technique charge or managing ammo really bums me out. Like, this is not the most fun gameplay. It's you could argue it's a nice little way to break up the, core gameplay, but it's like, bruh, the core gameplay's so good, just more of it. And once you kill him, you will absorb this much essence. We were at 7,600 before, and now we're at 17,000. So 10,000 essence for killing that guy. Help yourself to it. And now, probably one of my favorite rooms in the whole game. Now, this was an infamous stairway in Ninja Gaiden 2 because so many enemies spawned that the 360 hardware literally slowed down. It could not handle how many enemies were coming down this way. You get a bit of the vibe here, but the game kind of just locks them off where they kind of spawn in waves at you. And of course, against all these fodder ninja, I encourage y'all, try to absorb any essence where you kill the ninja with a level 2 ultimate technique here because there is so much money you can get. And I have a very funny demonstration for just like how much money you actually get from this stairway. Highly recommend any ultimate technique here that has wide AoE, that catches a lot of enemies. I showed off the dual swords here, and I'm going to go to the Eclipse Scythe, right? Just showing you that you can even kill enemies with this ultimate technique. Getting a red Nimpo essence there was actually kind of nice. If I remember right, there is a red essence chest up ahead too. We'll confirm that one. And here, I'm going to flex, once you upgrade the Dragon Sword, I think it's level 3, you get access to the 360 ultimate technique, but it's not fully complete. The rest of it is locked behind the level 4 form of the sword. So I switch to the tonfas, and I just go to town. Again, the single target on it in the wider hallway that we have here means that sometimes you won't get as many enemies as you could. And you know, here, right, I'm trying to flex even more. Doing some guillotine throws. Vigorian flails can absolutely decimate enemies just with its own regular attacks. Get a level 2 off here. Spam the heavy attack button to catch as many enemies as you can. Probably one of the best fights for the Vigorian flail, actually, just with like the space that you get, the kind of enemies that you get. Very effective weapon for delimbing the humanoid ninjas. But right, like, you know, this is just me, like, demonstrating all the things you can do with this game, right? And it's so cool to be able to do this. And the game looks the way it does with the Unreal Engine 5. I think there's parts of it that look better, but definitely some stylistic things, like the Dark Dragon I mentioned in the previous chapter, that look better in, like, the PS3 days. But also just, like, the gore. Just the fact that we have this carnage all around us. It's so cool. I'm happy we're in this timeline now, y'all. One more wave of enemies to get through on this infamous staircase. I'm double checking some combos I can do with the level 3 Dragon Claw and Tiger's Fang. Trying to mess around with some of those, like, oh, what does this one look like? Yeah, and I mess up my ultimate technique charge, and a ninja spawns behind us. I'm just going to disengage, create some space. And even, like, compared to the tonfas, because both the swords and the tonfas can get a little tunnel vision, the swords at least has such a huge AoE even behind it that it works. Anyways, remember the flex I was going to tell y'all about? I thought about it. I'm like, y'all, I really don't want to do this fight again. Like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just spend a Talisman Rebirth right here. Like, there wasn't a save point that brought us up here. I don't think we got a checkpoint at the King Qatar boss fight that we did. I don't think. I could be wrong. Someone in the comments do let us know. I haven't stress tested it very clearly here. And I'm like, I'm almost near the end of this fight. It's gone pretty well outside of, like, you know, me being grabbed by a kamikaze attack. So screw it. Why not just drop a Talisman Rebirth right here? I even bust out the Kusurai Gama because I'm feeling spicy. Not really able to get any ultimate technique started, and just with my ground and how many bad guys there are, not really able to get as many attacks off as I want to, although that throw is a pretty sick throw. And I get a little worried here for the next attack, so I just drop it. And yeah, I'm tunnel visioning on like one combo I rely on with it, so I definitely need to explore my own Kusurai Gama play to look at what combo attacks are actually better for like these more heavily stacked melees. A guillotine throw kills the guy. Able to absorb some blue life. And yeah, that's that chapter. Not the chapter, but that fight. Pretty infamous. Anyways, we started with about 17,000 essence at the bottom. Now we're at 43,000. You know, just casual, almost 30k essence from that one string of fights alone. And if you actually have all the crystal skulls, a Talisman Rebirth only costs you 25,000 essence, which is a pretty sweet deal. It is a very sweet deal, to say the least. So I heal up here, and I just say, I can buy another talisman. Screw it. Would have been in a pretty good spot if I had the crystal skulls all the way upgraded. I would just have more leftover essence from the items I'm buying right now. So hopefully you picked up all the crystal skulls before your Master Ninja Mode playthrough, because it will just make your item hoarding quite a bit easier. And yeah, I remember this fight, if you really want to, you could just do an Art of the Void Nimpo. You could use a Nimpo at any point if you want to use like a Blades Wimpo, kill a whole bunch of ninjas down there. Although I would advise against those ninjas just because you can farm them for so much essence by killing them with ultimate techniques. And even here, killing these Bengals with level 2 ultimate technique nets us just so much reward. This chest is an item. I think it's a Grains chest. And again, we're getting like the pre-discounted prices, I'm sure, but here's a Nimpo chest, so you can just use as much Nimpo as you want at any given moment after the... And now for one of the hardest boss fights in the entire game, Elizabeth, or as my adolescent self like to call her, Elizabeth. Very difficult boss fight. I messed around with a ton of different strategies, like trying to flying swallow her with the Falcon Talons or Dragon Sword. She has a lot of fast moves. She does a lot of damage. She has a big AoE attack where she charges up like this blood orb, and then a whole bunch of like blood tendrils or something come out and attack you. And she can heal herself with it. She has tons of iframes that you can see. And after messing around with a lot of things, I kind of looked up some other YouTuber guides from years ago about how they tried to approach this fight. And really, it just came down to one strategy, which is very easy to do. It was this: Lunar Staff, light, light, heavy. The nice thing about it is that it's got good range. It's a fairly safe combo to do. It will catch her in the air, stun her a little bit. And you can, that last hit does a good, decent bit of damage. And this was kind of like the most consistent DPS I could find for fighting her. And at this point, y'all, don't be ashamed. Don't be flummoxed. Use health items. You can get through this fight without using a Talisman or Rebirth. I would advise that you probably don't, just because it is a cheaper investment to buy a Talisman or Rebirth than to restock your herbs or your grains. But yeah, you know, you'll see some attacks. Just dodge away. Get used to the patterns. You know, when she flying swallows, get your dodge timing down. Hold block quite a bit. When she does the flurry of attacks, you can try to get a counterattack, but as you can see, she can immediately go back into stuff, grab you as well. I pop a grain here because I'm like, nah, she does way too much damage. You know, and just be as careful as you need to be, right? She can vary up her combos as well. Like we saw, she did like her triple strike, and then she did a tail stab. She has a couple of very fast grabs. If you were ever to knock her out of her big blood attack, you will find that she is stunned for a bit, but she gets up like instantly. Like she doesn't telegraph when she's like, okay, I'm done taking hits. And so you can only take in a few safe moves and get out for guaranteed. I want to show one death right here just to give ourselves a little bit more time to see that even with this method, like it's not a foolproof method. Like she just does a lot of damage. I would be interested to see if Team Ninja nerfs her in any way, just because she is a pretty stressful fight in this first encounter. Right, you can see I'm getting a little too aggro. I'm not letting her like take the lead and then counterattacking her. When you take the lead in the initiative, she can counterattack you, and she can do quite a bit of damage here. So don't be impatient like that particular run-through was. But you also have to understand, by this point, I have been fighting her for probably like 40, 45 minutes. That was another reason why like this chapter wasn't a live commentary. Like at some point, I was just quiet and focused on trying to beat Elizabeth. So it's not informative, wasn't necessarily entertaining. Just being forthright with y'all. That's why some of these videos, I kind of toned them down, because as we get a little deeper into the game and the run-through, there's just a lot of deaths that you will have. And I've said that from like the very first video, right? Like you will die playing this game, and that's okay. Like everybody starts somewhere, and you can beat the game even if you die a lot. Right, so like that's one reason why I like the staff, is like that final attack on the light, light, heavy sequence. It can catch her in the air. So I'm trying to get a little better about hit confirming my situation, not just mashing out the whole combo. Like there. But again, like there's not really like she doesn't really have like downtime. She doesn't have a moment where she's just like, oh, now it's my turn to punish her. She just kind of goes and does her own thing. Which is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people think she is a very tough fight. And I would agree with them. There's that blood attack that I mentioned. Even staying on the ground is enough to kind of have it avoided sometimes. Just be careful. It can be pretty erratic. And here I'm investing into my herbs now for health. And yeah, a little bit of perseverance, tons of healing items, which you can afford, and a little bit of light, light, heavy spam. You can get through Elizabeth. So that's the walkthrough for Chapter 13, Temple of Sacrifice on Master Ninja mode. Appreciate y'all watching. If you got any things you'd like to share in the comments below, we'd love to see it and hear it. Meantime, I'll catch y'all in the Chapter 14 video. See you later.